The year is 1936, and Indiana Jones is in a globe-trotting race against Nazis and treasure hunters to find the most sought-after artifact known to man, the Ark of the Covenant. Indy is joined by Marion, a woman from his past, with the only map to the Ark. As the two travel the world, they will face danger, peril, and even a few thousand snakes on their way to thwart the raiders of the Lost Ark.
Welcome to Movie Friends. My name is Seth.
And I'm Michelle.
Today we're talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark from 1981. Directed by Steven Spielberg, written by George Lucas, Philip Kaufman, and Lawrence Kasdan, cinematography by Douglas Slocum, composed by John Williams, edited by George Lucas and Michael Kahn, costume design by Deborah Nadulman, starring Harrison Ford, Karen Allen, Paul Freeman, John Rhys Davies, and Ronald Lacey. Michelle, what's going on?
What's going on, Seth? Nice to see your face. It's
We're
weird. Even though nothing, we didn't take time off, and I actually saw you in person last week. It feels like it's been weeks.
Does it?
I think because I traveled. So
Yes.
it's weird when you travel over a weekend, but you come back and you're just going right into the week and nothing. You didn't miss any of last week. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had a time change.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always weird. How did your trip go?
No. We're not just gonna go right into that. Seth just grabbed a scratcher to scratch his beard. Is that a back scratcher? You can't
Yeah, I've got a
casually
little-
just scratch your beard.
Why not?
Because I can't take you seriously when you do that.
It's not like anybody's going to see it.
Well, they can hear it.
That's why I use this one while recording, because it's actually quieter than using my fingers.
I know, but I actually did hear the scratching.
Oh, no.
I
Anyway.
like it. I like it. It creates a little, it's like they're here. The listeners are here.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway.
How was Chicago?
Chicago is good. We had a good time. How was your weekend?
Got stuck in a snowstorm, freak snowstorm in upstate New York.
Oh, it snowed in
Those
Chicago.
are always great.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Love it. Love it.
Planned on going to a cafe to do some editing.
Cute.
And ended up at an Indian restaurant just eating, which worked out fine, if you ask me.
Also cute in its own way. Yeah.
Hey, we've got Email City here.
Dude, let's do it.
So we got to jump right into it.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm going to actually put in chapters in the show notes. So if you want to skip ahead to the discussion on Raiders of the Lost Ark, go for it. First email is about our episode on Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
They say, loving the question about what makes a tune a tune. Cuts right to one of my favorite topics. What the heck is consciousness anyway? Where does it come from? What kind of magic is it? Are animals conscious? Are plants conscious? Where does it go when we sleep? Anyway, especially interesting for a world filled with animated characters. Were they drawn into existence or were they always there? Who tapped into the magic of quote unquote conscious energy to bring life to the tunes? And are they able to do that with other things? Like, say, robots? Like in this world of this movie, in their future, will someone give consciousness to robots and AI too? Where's the limit? That's a very good question.
Is this from Anthony Husband?
Yes.
Yeah, because this is straight up him. Wow.
He says, great question, but difficult for me to stop at the tunes.
Yeah.
It's possible that humans are the only conscious species in the universe, or maybe we should assume so just to be safe. What if the existence of it is a 1 in a many trillion chance? We must treat it sacredly. It is quite possibly the most important thing ever to exist. And yeah, that message is from Anthony.
Wow.
And I agree. We talked about how is the tune created? What is it to kill that little shoe? What are the implications of that? You know,
Yeah.
very complicated.
It's very complicated.
Anthony, I would recommend checking out a book called Blind Sight. It's a science fiction novel that deals with consciousness and what it means. Very good book that I just finished. Next email is about our episode on Mulholland Drive. Can you believe that that was last week
No, I
and not
cannot.
3 years ago?
Right. Right.
No suspense here. This email's from Kate,
Awesome. Who I got to
who
meet
is,
in Chicago.
yes, and I'm incredibly jealous.
You should be, because Kate is great, as we already
Yeah,
knew, but to meet her in person and be in her presence was pretty amazing.
you sent a picture of the three of you guys, and I
Yeah,
was just instantly like, oh, why am I not in Chicago?
right. I know.
So Kate says, hi, Seth and Michelle. I really enjoyed listening to your Mulholland Drive episode. I suggested this movie because I love it, and, as others have noted, even though I've seen it multiple times, I don't fully understand it, and I enjoy thinking and talking about different interpretations. So, just to add context, when I did my back to back viewings of this movie, it was a Saturday or Sunday morning, and I was stoned. At first, I thought the movie was overlong. The first 2 hours kind of dragged, with too many random scenes, and each scene with several lines of dialogue that could easily have been cut. But then the story shifted, and suddenly Betty was Diane, and as I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on, I thought the last part of the movie went so fast, and when it was over, I was so mind blown that I just had to watch the whole thing over again. The second time through, I didn't feel impatient at all. I enjoyed every little weird moment. Overall, I think this movie gets better every time I watch it. And I would agree with you, Kate. The next time Michelle watches it, perhaps she will agree with you too.
Her apples. I'll let y'all know.
The dream interpretation probably makes the most sense and can account for most of the weirdness. But I also like to imagine other possibilities. I don't have a fully coherent theory of my own, but more of a jumble of what if questions.
Mm-hmm.
So, what if Diane is disassociative and Camilla is an imaginary friend or a projection of her subconscious? A Tyler Durden like Tulpa, but which one is the real one? What if it's not a dream, but there are parallel universes and or time looping back on itself? So when the cowboy opens the door and says, "Time to wake up, pretty girl," what if he's waking Diane up into an alternate reality? And that's a good theory.
Ooh, that's good.
Because the cowboy is the guy who's like in control.
Right. Mm-hmm.
hmm
Mm.
And what if she wakes up as Camilla at the beginning of the film, who is about to be murdered because Diane put a hit out on herself? Which ties into the ending, which I won't say in case anyone listening hasn't seen Mulholland Drive. Following the accident, she has amnesia, and what if she hallucinates, or whatever, this Betty character to help her figure out who she is? You could easily poke plenty of holes in this account, but for me, it's fun to get my mind all twisted up trying to understand what happens in this movie.
Well said. I like that.
I like that too. That's a
Yeah,
fun
that's
one, right?
that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fun little theory that I did not encounter in any of
Yeah,
the others.
right.
Yeah. Congrats on 100 episodes, Kate.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Happy 100.
Congrats, us. And then there's an asterisk here. She says, wait, what happened to what the keck? And then she says, also, please feel free to what the keck this email. And so I will not what the keck this email because I'm
No,
keeping the whole thing.
that's right.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, Kate. I think what the keck doesn't have to be every episode. We just what the keck is what we're going to keep, edit, and cut from a movie.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll do it and sometimes we won't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also when we remember to do it.
Well, I was trying to avoid that answer, Seth, but sure, that's real. That's the real answer.
All right. Next email says Mitch should do a top 100. And you said that if someone emailed in asking for you to do a top 100 movies, you would do it.
I did say that, didn't I? All right.
All right.
I'll let you know when it's
Forthcoming.
done.
Yeah. Special episode alert. Boop, 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 boop. Mitch's top 100.
Thank you. Who sent that in?
Well, it's not done.
Oh, okay.
They go on to say, this is the ultimate mystery because each time you watch it, you can have a different interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
There are no wrong answers. Achy Breaky Heart came in like a wrecking ball.
mm-hmm.
P.S. Happies and Crappies. P.S.S. Very happy that this wasn't a sub 3-star for Mitch. And P.S.S.S. Y'all didn't do the editing part. Crying emoji. So that's two people calling us out for not doing what the keck. So,
Listen, if we're due a segment and we hear nothing from anybody, how are we supposed to know you like it?
well, now we know.
Right? Now we know.
Well, thank you very much, Anthony, Kate, and Ben, for sending
Thank
in
you.
emails.
Thank
If you
you.
guys want to be like them, send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. And I actually had another email that we got to push on to the next episode because we just got too many. So keep
Yeah.
them coming, folks.
Keep me in suspense.
The more you talk, the less we have to.
That's right. Do that.
Yeah. So welcome to Adventure April.
Dun, 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 dun.
Very exciting.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I'm excited.
Okay.
Looking at what's coming down the pike.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seems like a fun assortment of films.
I think so.
And we're kicking it off with what's considered by many bodies of people to be the greatest adventure film ever made.
Some might say this is the greatest film ever made.
Wow.
That's not me. I'm just saying some might say.
Sure. So before Michelle watches a film for the first time, she records her pre-watch thoughts. So let's go to that real quick.
Okay, I'm about to watch Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is a mouthful. And Liz is here with me.
What's up, yo? What's up?
Liz thinks she's seen it, maybe.
But really, I think it's only the ride at Disney, the show at Disney World.
Right, and that's all I know too. So what am I expecting? Harrison Ford. Hold, please.
Only place large carry-on items in the overhead bin. Once again, only large items in the overhead bin.
Please.
Okay, so I'm
Smaller
picturing.
items such as backpacks, jackets, those go underneath the seat in front of you. Only large items in the overhead bin. Thank you so much and welcome aboard.
Desert, right?
Boulder, hat, Harrison Ford.
Every kid's going to be just
Maybe I shouldn't have done this on a plane. Bye.
Airplane.
Airplane.
Did Liz watch this with you?
No, she listened
Okay.
to her book. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Quite messy.
There's an airplane in this movie.
There is.
Several, actually.
Yes. Yeah. There's lots of traveling by airplane.
Yeah. Did you feel nervous to be on an airplane watching this movie
No.
after seeing exploding airplanes and stuff?
No, not at all. I didn't think of that at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was weird. This flight, we didn't get served any in-flight beverages or snacks because they were saying it was too turbulent. And when I tell you this, there was barely any turbulence. We were just like, are they just lazy?
Wow.
Because I've been on flights where it's bumpy and you're still getting a drink or a snack.
Right.
Not that I even wanted anything to drink. I was just like, when is it going to get bad? It never got
Right.
bad. It never got bad.
Right.
Yeah.
The most turbulent flight I ever was on was from Chicago to New York.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I'm going to die. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the scariest thing ever. So prior to watching this, you were kind of a little uncertain that you hadn't seen this, right?
Yeah, I was wondering if I did actually see it, and then it's confirmed I have not seen this after watching
Wow.
it. I just knew from the stunt show at Disney and then
Yeah.
also the Great Movie Ride
Right.
as my Bible. That's where I learn a lot of things. But yeah, I have not seen this. So
It's unreal to me how often rides and attractions come up
yeah,
with you in connection to movies, because I never think about that
I
at all.
know. Well, it was a big part of my childhood, clearly, as I'm unraveling here on this show. I've never referenced theme parks so much in my
Yeah.
adult life. So it's very strange.
So you had told me that the only thing that you remembered was the boulder. You were wondering if the boulder was in this one. So when the boulder happened, were you very excited?
No. I
Oh,
was just like,
okay.
oh, okay, it happened so soon.
Yes.
And then I was like, that's it?
That's it.
Like, does the boulder come back? They make the boulder such a big thing. Where I'm like, does this come back? Is this like a theme throughout the movies?
Oh my God. Can you
No.
imagine it if like the same boulder just shows up back at the end and someone's like, the boulder from the beginning, and then it chases him again?
The beginning boulder. No. I meant like, is he in a similar situation that he has to get out of, running from a boulder? It just like, it was such a big part of the stunt show at Disney. So
It's one of the most, I think if you asked people like, hey, Indiana Jones, they'd say like whip, boulder,
hat,
idol,
snake.
bag of sand thing.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Like I knew the general idea of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's in the beginning, it's very exciting, and then it ends.
And then that's it.
So I really want to talk to you about this monkey.
Oh gosh, we're gonna start with the traitor. I don't I don't understand this monkey's working for a bad
Hitler.
guy. Well, yes, Hitler, but his owner is
his owner, who is labeled in the film as Monkey Man.
and right.
So I think the idea is like the Nazis come to town and they're hiring up everybody
Sure.
to be like, hey, come dig this hole for us, right? Sala is like,
Yeah.
they're only hiring strong men and paying them pennies. And I was like, well, yeah, of course they're only hiring strong men. Why? Put it up a sign. Send the weakest people you have, and
For
we'll pay
manual
lots.
labor. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so one of the local Egyptians that they have kind of sucked up into their orbit is Monkey Man. And Monkey Man and his monkey have just very quickly folded into the ideology of the Third Reich. Like they come to town and they're just like, wow, I've never seen it like this before. You guys are right. You guys are right. We're here. We're here to help you. The monkey especially.
The monkey hail. He
does the salute.
He does the salute. It just like the monkey is a traitor, but then like they're like, oh, it's so cute, Indy and Marion and Sala, and then the monkey gives up where Marion is.
Yes,
but
yes,
then
it sucks. This monkey sucks.
No, it sucks. But then Indy takes the monkey because he's not. I was like,
he doesn't know. Well, he's not there,
right,
for the betrayal, and so he's still like,
I was like, this, what? Why? Why are we using this device? This is so interesting.
Look, if you've got a trained monkey that can do the Heil Hitler, you
my
suck him up
God.
for all he's worth.
And it's not like the human that the monkey's interacting with does it first. The monkey does it first. The monkey leads the salute.
Okay.
And I was like, what? How?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I said, he's radicalized.
Right.
The monkey. Very easily impressioned. Which I think it actually is a female monkey, they say.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But the monkey, the traitor.
Yeah, she gets radicalized.
I like to call her the traitor, but not really.
Traitor, yeah. And then the monkey dies.
The monkey dies. Yeah. And that's it.
In the most like dramatical top-down shot. You get this like very like the monkey's laying there. There's the big bowl of dates, and Indy almost like eats one in celebration, and they linger on this dead monkey.
They do
for a while. I was having a great time.
Bad
it was
dates.
Probably my favorite part of this movie, to be honest. All this monkey stuff.
Wow. Well, I think that's what threw me is like when they take the monkey, I'm like, well, is the monkey now gonna live with Indy? Like I was creating this whole backstory.
She's a sleeper agent. She's undercover.
And then
and she's at Sala's house. That's when we first get introduced.
I know.
Yeah.
So
she's deep. She's deep undercover. Yes.
Like she has a backstory. And then Monkey Man, we never see him again.
Yeah,
right?
No. Well, there's no more monkey.
No monkey.
What is a monkey man without monkey?
Right.
Yeah, he's just like, well, I guess I'll go find another racist monkey to train.
Wow.
Okay, sorry.
No, I'm glad we started.
We'll go back to talk about
the
the actual movie now, but
that was part of the movie. That was like To me, I noticed that right away.
Yeah. Doing a whole lot of animal stuff in this.
Yeah. Yep.
Chasing down a truck on a horse, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
We've got a pit of 9,000 snakes, I think we ended up at.
We have an unexpected cat at 40 minutes and 52 seconds.
So tell me about this cat, because this may have passed me by.
It should, because it does nothing. It's
Okay.
just when Indy's running or trying to find Marion and hears her screaming and goes down an alleyway, and then there's just a white cat, and that's it. It's just a cat in the alleyway.
Oh,
And I
interesting.
paused it and I was like, let me note for my cat friends. There is a cat.
That's right.
in this
Unexpected
movie.
cat.
That's going to be my letterboxd review. Unexpected cat. 40 minutes, 52 seconds.
This is where you can find the cat scene. Yeah, knowing this movie, it's surprising that that cat didn't have some political ties to some other.
I mean, maybe they just didn't have time.
The cat would turn to the camera and be like, I really like this Mussolini guy.
Yeah, right.
I've seen this movie 4 times now in the last year. And as someone who grew up watching the Indiana Jones movies, except for Temple of Doom, we were not allowed to watch Temple of Doom because I think maybe because it was too violent.
Which one is that in the lineup?
We go Raiders of the Lost Ark is 1. And then we go to Temple of Doom. But Temple of Doom takes place a year before Raiders. So it's a prequel sequel.
A prequel sequel. I don't know why that tickled my fancy. Yeah. I really just hit the spot.
Then we go to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where we meet Indy's dad, who also has a very signature look silhouette hat that he wears, which is like the MO of this entire series.
Yeah.
Like everyone has a hat that makes them recognizable.
Yeah.
Even in Temple of Doom, Short Round, who's his assistant, who's my favorite part of, I think, Indiana Jones, he's got like a little signature baseball cap. Then we go to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which I think was 2006, 7, somewhere in there. So there's a huge jump. That one deals with aliens. And then just like in the last 2 years, we had Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, where Harrison Ford came back as a 90-year-old man to still be Indiana Jones. And in preparation for this, I watched that because I was like, I can't talk about Indy if I don't know where his journey ends.
That was 2018?
That was, no, 22, I think. Maybe 23.
With Shia?
No, Shia is
2018.
2006, 2008.
Shia is 2008. That's the only Indiana Jones movie that Liz saw.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. That's quite the one to see.
Yeah. Well, she was dragged to a theater. A bunch of our friends went. And as I was talking to Aunt last night, he's like, oh, yeah, I saw that in theaters. He's like, why weren't you there? I'm like, come on. Why would I go to that? I don't care if my friends are going.
Michelle was like, let me know if there's a boulder.
Yeah. Let me
maybe I'll see it
know
next
if
time.
there's like a cat or something. But
Right.
yeah, 2008. I'm sorry.
So, as someone who grew up watching Indiana Jones and liking it, I was so struck this time, I guess at this point in my life, at how slow the movie felt to me, which might send shivers up people's spines. But I watched it with my son, who at the time would have been 9 or 10. So it's like primo Indiana Jones age, right?
Yeah.
And we're watching it, and he's really into it. So I'm really into it. We're watching it. And we paused it at one point, and he was like, oh my God, there's 40 minutes left in this movie. And I was like, oh my God, there's 40 minutes left in this movie.
Yeah.
And then at some point they were traveling to like another location, and he was like, they're going to another place. And I was like, oh man, I kind of forgot about this.
Yeah. And my favorite way to watch a movie is on an airplane because I have no distractions. I have a set time. I just have to sit here. And when I tell you the amount of times my mind drifted, this was really hard for me. I was like, I don't understand. I'm not distracted by anything. I can't go on my phone. I was in a middle seat, so it's not like I'm looking at the aisle.
Right.
Yeah, this was tough, but I was like, oh, I drifted off. Oh, we're still traveling. I missed nothing. Oh, chase scene. Oh, blood. Oh, look, snakes. Like literally, I'm not missing anything.
So do you feel like you got the story?
Yeah, I think so. It was just long. I mean, like I wrote in my notes, 54 minutes in, we are dragging.
Hmm.
And then I wrote, an hour and 30 minutes in, it's dragging, the truck scene. Like I like
The trucks.
I think that's probably when I came back. It's not like I fell asleep. It's like I'm watching and my mind is thinking about other things. These notes that I wrote are pretty funny.
Yeah, if the truck scene is dragging to you, there's a good
Well, because I
chance.
just want like resolution already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They filmed that for 6 weeks.
The
And
truck
that whole
scene?
sequence, that whole truck
Yeah.
scene, that was actually the assistant director, like second unit.
Oh wow.
Spielberg had nothing to do with that, and that's one of like the best parts of the movie.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not denying, the technical aspect of it and how it looks.
Yeah.
It's just by this point I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready to jump off
Right.
and be done.
So what did you think about Indiana Jones as a character?
He was good. I think they presented him in the way of he's not cocky, but and he's not smooth in any way, but he's
Yeah.
extremely focused on the prize. I
Interesting.
mean, just the way he treats Marion, which I had a lot of issues with, and their inappropriate relationship. When it opens, which is funny, it opens and we're like thrown into it, right? At 4 minutes and 24 seconds, I wrote, "What is going on?" Like I am trying to grasp, like what are we trying to accomplish here? And then we go through all that, gets the idol, drop it, lose it, and then we're in a classroom, and I was like, "Oh, he's a professor," and like aesthetically, hello, sir. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm with all the girls in that classroom.
Yeah.
Just staring off, but he doesn't notice it. He doesn't notice how good looking he is.
Right.
Right.
Did you catch the one girl who has "love you" on her eyelids? So they came up with that like that day.
Oh, that's funny. That's really
it was like
funny.
it was someone who was there. It was like their idea. Like, oh, let's have someone have something written on their eyelids. I never really liked that part, but this time around, I was like, that's actually really, really funny. As like a kind of throwaway gag.
I mean, I thought it was weird, but now looking back, and I'm sure we'll get to it, there's like weird comedic choices that are in this movie that don't feel right. But maybe when you look at them all together, you're like, oh, that makes sense because this one happened. And so that was weird to me. I'm like, what the heck?
Right.
Yeah, but he was okay. He's not my favorite.
Indy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think of him? Like, how do you view him versus when you watched him as a kid versus now as an adult man?
It's so hard to objectively think about an American mythological figure. You know what I mean? Like
What
to
a
think about
way to
Indiana
phrase
Jones
that, Seth.
to me is like to think of just the whole package of everything. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, okay.
So I think a lot of things about him. I'm thinking about him from all the different movies. And one thing that they do so incredibly well is create silhouettes.
Oh,
and like
it's iconic. Yes.
Iconography, of American media. And like I talked about with the hats, it's like you just do the silhouette of Indiana Jones and most people are going to know exactly who that is. Choosing to give him like the whip as his main weapon is also so not unique, because I'll get into where that comes from, but like pretty unique. You know what I mean? Like how many heroes are running around with a whip that they utilize multiple ways?
Yeah, it feels like it's almost a comic book superhero.
Yeah, absolutely.
Character.
And he is. George Lucas wants to make movies, and he has this idea to make 2 movies based on film serials that they used to play when he was a kid. And he has one idea for an adventure movie, and that is Indiana Jones. And he has another idea for a film based on Flash Gordon serials, which ends up becoming Star Wars. He wanted to make a Flash Gordon movie, and he couldn't get the rights. And so he's like, fine, I'll make my own. And that ends up becoming Star Wars, which obviously brings him incredible amounts of money and success, and he can do whatever he wants. simultaneously, Spielberg makes Duel, he makes Jaws, he makes Close Encounters. Very talented young guy, very capable, making lots of money, right? Jaws, cited as the first blockbuster film ever, right? Huge summer smash hit. He wants to make James Bond. He wants to make one of the James Bond movies, and the people who control James Bond are like, no. I saw a quote from someone who said the first time he wanted to make a James Bond movie, he had never made one before. So we said no. The second time was after he made Jaws, and we thought that he didn't have the right style for it. And the third time, we couldn't afford him.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So Lucas and Spielberg grow up going to the movies and watching these film serials, which I learned a lot about in preparation for this. And I never realized like how connected they were. It was basically like TV before TV existed. One of the ones that I found called The Hazards of Helen was 119 episodes long. It's like 119 20-ish to 30-ish minute episodes. That's a huge achievement now for a TV show to have 120
Wow.
episodes, you know?
Yeah.
And so you would go each week and they would play the next installment before the double feature. And these were like full of action. People were always getting kidnapped or cliffhangers. Like it's always ended on a cliffhanger. So you have to come back and see like, oh, this person got kidnapped, or this person, kind of like in this movie where it's like, oh, well, now Marion blew up, right?
Right.
And so you'd have to come back next week to see, and maybe Marion would be missing for 1 or 2 weeks, and then boom, she'd come back in, and it'd be like, oh my gosh, crazy, right? Spielberg wants to make James Bond, and Lucas is like, I have something better than James Bond. So this is, both of them are, post Star Wars and Jaws and all that stuff, and they're like, we want to make Indiana Jones, and it's going to be an action movie based on the old serials, just crazy action and punching and explosions and racist monkeys. And so, like Flash Gordon inspired Star Wars, there were several serials that inspired Indiana Jones, but one of the main ones was Zorro. And so Zorro's weapon was oftentimes a whip. He would use a whip. And a lot of the shots that they use in this movie, like Indy in the beginning, whipping the gun out of the guy's hand, that's a Zorro move.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so the kind of like pace of this movie makes more sense, or made more sense to me after learning that, because it is like boom, boom, crazy action. Oh, he escapes. Okay, now a whole bunch of exposition.
Right.
Okay, now boom, boom, crazy action. Oh, he escapes. And it's just like thing after thing after thing, which is like every movie is thing after thing after thing. But how they would make the serials is they would film them and then cut them into pieces. And studios had their own whole production teams that just made these serials. So they would have their own actors and sets and props departments.
Wow.
It was like a big thing. And it was part of what sucked America into going to the movies consistently, like every week. Because it wasn't like, oh, I want to go see this next movie. It was like, no, I have to go see the news, see what happens, to the hazards of Helen and what, whatever.
To finish the story, you're committed now.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So really, really genius. And they replayed them well. The company stopped making them like mid 50s, but they played them till like mid 60s.
Oh, okay.
And so around the time when Spielberg and Lucas were still kids, this is what they would have been like really, really into. And the only thing that I could think about it for us, which is like something that doesn't really exist anymore, but when we were kids was like, hey, this is like, you have to be there, would be like Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
So it was like Saturday, you don't have to go to school. You wake up and you sit down in front of your TV because this is the time when these cartoons are playing.
Right.
And you and me, now we're older. If we had a chance to make something, maybe we'd be like, oh, I would love to make something akin to like Saturday morning cartoons. And so that's what they did, just for millions of dollars.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah. And in doing so, they created like one of the biggest American film franchises ever. Twice Lucas did that with
Yeah.
Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
To be George Lucas.
I know.
Hey, sidebar.
Yeah.
We did not write down our ratings for each other.
Oh, let's do that really quick.
Okay.
Okay, so another segment that we forgot about.
But just remembered.
Yeah, we need a producer on this show. All right.
Right.
We are writing down our predictions for each other's ratings for this film. Ooh. All week I've had a number in mind, and I'm sticking with what I've thought all week.
Okay.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
So in these film serials, and I'll stop with this, I promise. Two things. One, I pulled this quote from the internet Wikipedia page talking about the style of film serials. It says male fist fighters usually wore hats so that the change from actor to stunt double would not be caught so easily. A rubber liner on the hat band of the stuntman's fedora would fit snugly on the stuntman's head, so the hat would stay on during fight scenes.
Oh.
And that's Indiana Jones.
And that's Indiana Jones?
Yeah, that's the fedora. That's where that comes from.
Got it. Okay.
The other thing that I found that was super, super interesting to me was Lucas utilized the text on screen recap format because each week you'd have a little bit of recap, right, from the episode before. And he utilized that for his film Star Wars, which opens up with a text crawl explaining what had already happened that's leading you into the next movie.
Right. Let me just fill in the gaps here.
So it's like, yeah, like learning about this, my mind was just like going off. I was like, oh my God, that's why Indy wears a hat. Oh my God, that's why Star Wars has a text scroll. It's all because George Lucas is like a nerdy kid who grew up.
Well, I mean, I think it's safe to assume that we know that he's a nerdy kid.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
You know, look what he made.
So I want to ask you about Marion Ravenwood.
She was great, especially the way we meet her and they introduce her. She's in Nepal in her restaurant,
restaurant, inn. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's
my place.
Her place. She's having a drink off. And I just love it. She can drink anybody under the table. Yeah. However, and I know we'll talk more about her, but I did want to talk about how it gets invaded and then burns down. And like, that's it. She just, from the beginning, where she's losing everything.
Yeah.
Like, that's, like, she really got like the shit end of the stick. The shit end of the torch, if you want to call it. Like,
the torch.
Which I guess is just, there's one end of a torch that you can hold, right? But
she's holding the hot end of the torch.
That's right. And it's filled with shit. But she was my favorite while watching. Because one, she's just like this very smart and a great sidekick, but constantly just getting like thrown to the side, even though we very much need her because of what she holds and because of who her father was. Yeah, I was like pretty annoyed pretty early on when Indy comes and she's like, I was young, how could you do that? And he's, he said something of like along the lines of, you knew what you were doing. Like, get the F out of here.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, great. Awesome. I see who you are.
What's crazy about that whole interaction, right, is why include it in as much detail as is given. The novelization of this lets us know that Marion was 15. Yeah. Indy's like mid-20s at that point. Completely unacceptable.
It's inappropriate.
But Marion doesn't just like slap him in the face and say, hey, you ran out on me, right? And he's like, hey, babe, I had to go. It's like not that brushed over. She says, I've learned to hate you in the last 10 years. I was a child, I loved you. And he's like, you know what you were doing. And it's like, they're really not like examining it very deeply because we've got things to do, but they're laying out really clearly both of their positions on the events of what happened. Yeah. And like, I was pretty surprised by that.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you notice this? Like, were you in tune to this on your other watches?
I mean, definitely not as a kid. No. Right. No. Right. It's just like, the ladies, they hate Indy because he's a heartbreaker. It's like, because in all the movies, there's a lady who hates Indy.
Oh, Marion doesn't continue on?
She takes a break.
She takes a break. Is she in the prequel sequel?
No, because this is the first time they're seeing each other in like 10 years.
Right, and the prequel takes place when?
A year before.
Oh, got it. Okay, you did say
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Which there's a funny thing in this movie when Indy's like packing
Yeah.
and he's like, you know me, I'm super careful right before throwing a loaded gun across the room. When he's like, I don't believe in magic. You're talking about the boogeyman, whatever. The first movie is like all about like magic. Like he witnesses like magical things, and there's like a whole like cult of like human sacrifice inside of a living volcano.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, man, I don't know. You just saw a lot of crazy stuff apparently, but I guess they weren't thinking that far ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm assuming they came up with that story when this one ended.
Yeah, yes. And then this went on to become the highest grossing film of
Right.
1981. It was a crazy smash hit
Right.
on a $20 million budget, which I don't know if that changes anything for you, but finding out that this was a $20 million budget completely blew me away.
Wow.
Like we're going a lot of places. We're using a lot of extras. You know, we got 9,000 snakes on demand.
Right. We have things are blowing up.
Yeah.
We have a boulder.
Yeah. Big boulder.
A big boulder.
Yeah.
But to go back to Marion,
Sure.
what do you think of her?
I love Marion. She's super funny. I love the line when she's like, "Until I get my $5,000, I'm your partner." And
Yeah.
she's
Yeah,
like
you're
holding up the
stuck with me.
medallion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, man, that's I love that. Karen Allen was not super happy with some of the stuff that she had to do
Oh, really?
as Marion. Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah, she didn't like the dress scene. Spielberg was like, what I did was I challenged her to try to find a reason why Marion would put on the dress.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was like, why am I putting on this dress? Like, what does this have to do with anything?
Right.
And it if you go back to, again, like thinking of serials from the 30s and the lady like tied to the train track kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Marion is filling in for a lot of different roles.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, I'm not saying that to like make an excuse for it, but it makes sense on paper when they're writing this.
Sure.
But I think that Karen Allen does a great job of kind of like transcending all of that. And I never find her annoying.
Nope.
I'm never like, oh, let's get back to Indiana Jones. I'm like, oh, let's get back to Marion and Indiana Jones. And like when she blows up. So what did you think when she blew up?
I didn't think she was dead.
Okay.
Like at all. I was like, I don't know why. I don't know if I was just like this. I don't think we're killing to me it read as a main person yet. So especially as the first one, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know this is a franchise. Are we killing her right away? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I didn't believe it.
I've never understood how because Indy's like, you switched baskets. When? How?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
She switched baskets. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But so after that, you see Indy and the monkey, and Indy's just like sitting at this table in the middle of a street drinking, bummed out. And then he sees Sala again, and he's like, Marion's dead. And Sala's like, yeah, I know. But life goes on.
I know.
Like,
yeah, that that kind of threw me a little bit. Sala's demeanor in that scene.
It's nuts. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like even for his character, for the story, nothing. It's like you'd be like, oh my god, Indy, I'm so sorry. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get these Nazis that blew up your girlfriend.
And we're shown that Sala is this kind family man. So that would not be his response.
No.
At all.
It's maybe like the worst thing in this entire.
It's
it
bad.
Doesn't make any sense.
Bad.
And like he doesn't say like, "Hey man, life goes on." He's like, "Life goes on."
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Yeah.
Get
in my.
And like Bullock, same thing. Because he he likes Marion,
Yes.
and he's, I think, in his way, thinking that he's like looking out for her in the midst of this whole Nazi thing.
Yeah. And,
But when she goes down into the hole with Indy, and he's just like, it wasn't meant to be, and then leaves her there, I'm like, get a rope and get her. Like, why are you? Everyone's just so
there's
willing
so
to
many
like,
times that we left her when she's
yeah,
tied up. And Bella,
and Indy's like,
oh, sorry. And he's about to,
can't get you.
no, stay here. I'm like, you are
Yeah.
a piece of shit. But then
Yeah.
again, I'm like, okay, I see we're on like the bigger track here. We're trying to get to, we have to stay on point and stay
Yes.
down low to,
Yeah.
to the bigger prize here, so
Yeah.
to speak.
But Indy should know, hey, Marion is capable. She's intelligent. I could, she's not like dead weight. Like, it's not like, I got to leave you here because it's like, come on, man.
I know.
Help her out.
I know. But, when she has to put that dress on, she does act that scene beautifully. And I like that we have
Yeah.
the tie back of them drinking. And so
Yep.
that really, we understand who she is there. But again,
Yeah.
then she's got to do this whole like second half in this white dress. And then, sorry to jump ahead, but when we get down with all the snakes, Indy just like rips the bottom of it off.
Yes.
And her shoes fall. I'm like, are we just undressing her?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then later,
Yeah.
before we get off of Marion,
Yeah.
we're on a boat.
We're on a boat.
Indy and Marion are on a boat getting dressed, I believe. Right?
Recovering because he's in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a mirror, and she hits him with the mirror. And Indy lets out the most insane scream that you've ever heard. And it sounds like the Goofy scream.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we go to just a wide shot of the boat on the water when this happens.
Right. So you get the movement, she accidentally hits the mirror and it swivels and then like hits him under the jaw, right? Or something like that.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Quick cut to the outside of the boat and we hear, wow!
And then we're back.
And then we come back. And what does she say?
I don't know. Because then they just go into their whole like, kiss me where it doesn't hurt.
Right. Kiss me where it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Which I was like,
that was fine. It was cute. It was
Okay.
cute. It was
Yeah.
cute. You know, and then we don't see it, but they sleep together. She's
yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
But that whole little sequence of the mirror, then the scream threw me. Like,
Oh yeah.
Because I was like, what is happening? What is... Yeah.
Was that like your breaking point in the movie?
I screamed.
Okay. So it was like built into Indiana Jones to be like kind of incapable.
Well, right. Clear.
Lucas wanted him to be, he said, almost not up to the task of whatever's required of him in any situation. And there's this theory that became very popular a few years back, which is that Indiana Jones doesn't actually affect any of the things happening in this movie, which I sent to you.
Very funny. Very funny.
And it's kind of true. Like,
yeah.
Yes, he's punching a lot of people, but for the most part, he's always getting tied up or chased out of town or locked somewhere. Like a lot of the action just has to do with him like escaping bad things that have happened to him.
Right.
Not really like progressing forward in the mission of finding the Ark. And every step that he does, someone betrays him or, the bad guy steps in, which is established in the very beginning of the movie when he goes through all of this trouble to get the idol. And then Bullock literally just like steps in and is like, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
He does the Simpsons yoink.
I was hoping to see Jock again. His pilot.
Oh, the plane guy?
Yeah. I was waiting for him.
Right.
I'm waiting for like the silliest things in this movie as I'm discovering.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Indy hates snakes.
Hates them.
I hate them, Jock. I hate them. Love Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Bad delivery on that one. But anyway, did Indy fly in with Jock? And if he did Jock have Reggie, his pet snake, that whole time? Is this a snake that Jock just found and named Reggie and was like, here, you can hang out in Indy's seat while we're waiting? Like, you know what I mean?
That's such a great question.
How do you get this far into
you-
your relationship? You're just finding Reggie.
Well, maybe Reggie wanted to come out for some air. And Jock was like, well, Indy's going to be gone for however long
Right.
to get the idol. Reggie, come
Right.
on out, get some fresh air.
Right.
I didn't know you were going to be back so soon. He knew
Right.
Indy hated snakes, but somehow still
Right.
had to travel with the snake.
Right. Yeah, he's got to come with him.
Reggie has to come along for the
You
ride.
you can't leave Reggie the snake behind.
No.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It does make sense because he's fishing, so he's like, I got time. I got plenty of time here.
Let me bring my pet snake, my sidekick. I was just wanting to see Jock again. I don't know. I like gravitated towards him very early, and then that was it.
Yeah. 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 There's all these like little characters,
we meet
like
along the
assisting
way.
him, and Alfred Molina playing a Peruvian guy, which is, I think so. As we say many times on Movie Friends, the stuff that like has aged poorly, or the stuff that in 2024 we look back at and we're like, oh, that's not good. That's oftentimes the like least interesting parts of a film discussion.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we all know, we get it.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, this movie, there's so much of white actors playing like a Nepalese dude, and Alfred Molina playing a Peruvian dude, and John Rhys Davies, who's Welsh, playing an Egyptian dude. And like, yeah, it ain't great.
No, it's not good. We know it.
Yeah.
It's not good.
So let's talk about Nazis.
Let's talk about him. Can we talk about Tot or Tote? How do you say his name?
Tot? I think it's Tot.
Tot?
Yeah.
Wowza. Some choices with that one.
Spielberg says he loved him because he reminded him of Peter Lorre, which is a compliment as an actor, but maybe not in the face area. I couldn't get. I just kept thinking of him as evil George Costanza.
Oh yeah. I like the nunchuck hanger.
Yes.
Another choice.
Did you like that?
I laughed. I was
Yeah.
like, what? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely
Spielberg,
ridiculous.
he had used that gag in his film 1941, which is a comedy.
Did it go over well?
No, he says it didn't work as well. And so he loved the gag so much that he did it again in this movie. And this one became like an iconic moment.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love in that scene just Marion and Belloq's response, because he like pulls it out and he like pulls it tight, and they go, and then he turns into a coat hanger, and they both go, ah. It's very
very
silly.
funny. Yeah.
But yeah, the Nazis are all throughout this. This is prior to World War II, but I mean, they're still Nazis, so people are still like, these guys,
They're
no
bad.
good.
Right.
Yeah, they're bad.
Mm-hmm.
Nazis are like a major thing in Indiana Jones. They just keep showing up, keep coming back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Thinking of, the bad guys in this movie and going to the end.
Which end? Like the very, very end?
No, like the explosive end.
Oh, yes. Yes. Where the light is going through.
So the whole movie, they're going after the Ark of the Covenant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they find it. And towards the beginning, Indy's friend at college, or boss or whatever, co-professor guy,
colleague,
when he's talking to the two government guys, he's like, in the Bible, it says that the Ark of the Covenant could level mountains and destroy entire civilizations. And I was like, no, it doesn't.
Is that true?
No, I was like, no, that's not part of it, but okay, whatever. So we get to the ending, and Bullock is dressed in like priest robes, like an Israelite priest robes, performing like a ceremony type thing, which like all of that is also not, I don't know. It's a lot. There's a
Yeah.
lot going on here.
Yeah.
And then we open it up and everybody melts away. How'd you feel about this part?
I texted Seth and I was like, for someone who didn't know anything about this movie, like this part just, I did not see it coming. I don't know
Right.
what I was expecting to happen when they came across said arc or piece they were looking for. But when Indy is just like, keep your eyes closed, keep your eyes closed, I'm like, why? You know, and I know we see the graphic of like the light shining through, right? In the beginning.
Yeah.
But like the fact that this just like literally melts and destroys people, I was like, what? I literally was like screaming out loud by myself because at this and I will say not on the plane because I had 20 minutes left when I landed. So I watched the last 20 minutes at home.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what is happening?
God hates Nazis. That's what's happening.
Okay, well, that's good, right?
Yeah.
Good to know.
According to Steven Spielberg, right?
Right.
He's like, all right, let's see what would happen if Nazis encountered the power of God.
We'll melt them.
Their faces will melt off,
Right.
and we'll bore a hole through them with fire and lightning.
Right.
It's a lot. It's crazy.
But then, explain the ending to me.
This ending or the warehouse ending?
The warehouse ending.
Okay. Well, first on this. So
yeah.
In the Old Testament, you cannot touch the ark, right? So the ark is the most sacred, holy thing. It's in a special inner room, in the inner room of the tabernacle. Nobody is allowed in there. So on the Day of Atonement, which is once a year, the priest would go in to offer a sacrifice to atone for the sins of all the people. They had no idea if the person would just like drop dead from being in the presence of it or not. And the whole like don't touch it thing, that comes from a story with this dude named Uzzah, where they're transporting the ark and the cart that it's on like wobbled as if it was going to fall, and he reaches out to steady it, touches it, and drops dead. So that's where that part comes from. The whole don't look at it thing, the most that I can kind of connect with that is when Moses is on the mountain, he says to God, like, oh, let me see you. And God's like, if you see me, you're going to drop dead. So go hide behind this rock and you can see like the reflection of my passing. And that is like a really big deal.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I can think Indy is thinking when he's like, don't look at it, because he would know. Mm-hmm. It's really funny. The two government guys like don't know anything about it. And he's like, you guys never went to Sunday school? So he's, like they're tied there. There's nothing they can do to like run away. He would probably be like run away if they could. And so the best that he can gather is like, don't look, I guess just out of respect. And that's, I think, why they all get devoured, because they're clearly very evil people who are approaching this like holy object to use it for killing people. And that's the opposite of what it's for. So.
Right. Yeah.
And then the warehouse thing.
Well, I mean, I saw one. Yeah, I get. I didn't mean like explain it to me. I mean, you can go through and talk about it, but it's mostly, do we go back to it? I guess was my question.
So we do actually go back to the warehouse where that is.
Okay,
yes,
I would hope
in a
so.
later
It's
installment.
like setting you up.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if we don't and it just ends.
I bet you $1 million you could not guess the real world location where that warehouse is.
I bet I couldn't either. I mean, I was just assuming Washington, D.C. somewhere.
Think about American government secrets.
So like Area 51?
Hey, you won $1 million.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, in a later movie there.
So is that where the aliens come in?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. That's kind of fun. I'm on an alien kick. I just started Roswell.
Oh, I never watched it when that came out.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
why that it just didn't like super grab me.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Okay, so but like were you satisfied with this ending? Like Indy goes on this whole adventure. All he wants to do is bring it back for the museum, right? The museum. And then the US government gets it and it's like, that's it.
well, again, he's kind of a loser. Like Indy, and like it's kind of by design, but like he just doesn't win
No.
in like any of these scenarios. All he does is like escape. Like he escapes with his life. That's the Indiana Jones story.
And he
He
gets
lives
Marion.
to fight another day.
It seems like he'll be with Marion, but I guess she
Yeah.
takes a break, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think that this is like of the original trilogy, this is my least favorite one. My favorite one is Temple of Doom, which is the next one.
And this is Temple. You weren't allowed to watch this as a kid.
Was not allowed to watch Temple of Doom as a kid. I just watched it for the first time maybe last year because I saw it was streaming. I was like, I've never seen it. Let me see it. And I watched it and I was like, oh my God, it's crazy. It's a lot crazier.
This movie was really violent. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Okay.
There like a lot of blood, a lot of shooting. I was
Dude chopped up.
disappointed. Yeah, I was disappointed. There was one scene in particular where I'm just going to call them the bad guys were ready to get into
Yeah.
a sword fight with Indy and he just shoots him. I'm like, you can't
Yeah.
go up to battle? Like that
That's
annoyed
a famous
me.
scene.
Yeah, but he just
that's
shoots
a super
him.
famous scene.
Clearly I'm having a problem with a lot of the super famous scenes. Yeah.
The whole crew had like incredibly almost dying stomach bugs.
Ooh.
Jonathan Rhys Davies said flat out, he's like, I think I had dysentery. Like, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my God.
So a lot of the stuff in that they filmed in Tunisia, and this scene in particular, they're all like dying.
Wow.
Like super crazy sick. And so Harrison Ford was like, hey, we have this whole like fight thing planned for today. How about I just pull out my gun and shoot him and then we're done with it? And that's what they did.
Okay, so knowing the backstory, I'll allow it. I get it.
Yeah.
It's just watching, I was like really frustrated.
Also interesting, George Lucas had not wanted to use Harrison Ford because he had already been in American Graffiti. He had already been in Star Wars. And what he said was, he was like, I don't want Harrison Ford to be my Robert De Niro with Scorsese, where he's just like in all my movies. So they had gone with Tom Selleck, who was supposed to be Indiana Jones, and then had to back out because of Magnum PI. And so...
Wow. Hard to picture that.
Also, Danny DeVito was supposed to be Sala.
Oh my God.
And he had to back out because of Taxi.
That would have just been so different.
Can you imagine Harrison Ford sitting at a table
With Danny DeVito?
Being like, you're the best digger in Egypt. And Danny DeVito being like, thanks, man.
No. Wow.
Absolutely crazy. So I take it you were not satisfied with the ending of this.
Well, I was like, the only thing I could think of is that we're just setting up for the next one. And I was hoping internally maybe he learned like I got love instead.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping for. And then I was like, but this goes on for a long time. So I'm thinking no.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he learns anything, really.
No.
Like he just kind of walks away like, these idiots, they don't know what they have. All right, let's go.
Yeah. And like, even though he is a quote unquote loser and he still is like very skilled with like the whip and all of that. It's just
yeah. I mean, and he is an expert in archaeology. He's figuring out all the things and what to do, and he knows not to step on the special stones in the beginning and don't walk into the light.
Right.
Yeah. But even like when he does like the vine swing onto the river, he just kind of just kind of flops into the water,
Yeah.
like far away from the boat, and then has to doggy paddle to the boat.
Yeah.
And then when they fly off, it's, a cool guy would be flying off into the sunset and then pull from his knapsack the idol
Yes.
and be like, oh, I gave him a fake. Or nope.
Yes.
Indy flies away and he's like, oh, there's a snake. Ah!
Right. Right.
Yeah. So yeah, poor Indy. He really yeah, he
Mm.
just wants to go steal from indigenous people to put their
Bring it to the museum.
holy relics on display at a museum and
That's it.
teach his class where he doesn't know how to spell Paleolithic.
That's right. That's right.
Which is another, like, why did they do that? Like, why did they even put that in? Like, they can't even let him be smart in his own classroom?
Yeah. To show like
Yeah.
he's not perfect. He's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Hey.
not what I thought this was. I'll tell you that.
But this movie was huge, like, genuinely
Yeah.
ginormous, huge movie. In 1991, McDonald's sold copies of the VHS versions of all three movies for $6. Can you imagine walking
McDonald's?
into McDonald's? Yes. Can you imagine walking into McDonald's today and they're selling movies?
Were there action figures like Happy Meal toys that went along with this?
No. No.
That's so weird.
Yeah, this was the highest selling VHS like for a long time.
I mean, I believe it. It is iconic. I mean, the music, the
Yeah.
sound, the score,
And the
the
music.
silhouette. I mean,
we've talked about John Williams before,
Yeah.
and there is something I think very exciting about all of the Indiana Jones movies. Like when I went to see Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in 2006, 8, whatever, whenever it came out, I did not like it. But we left the theater and the group of friends that I was with were like, yeah, and like energetic. My one friend from Bulgaria, Coco, was like swinging around like fence posts and light posts, and like everyone was
Yeah.
just like, ah, there's like a
Yeah.
real excitement that the movie can
Yeah.
like put into you.
Yeah.
And I give a lot of credit to John Williams' score.
Yeah. I agree to that.
Like if you just do like dun 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 dun.
I mean, I was singing it all day today.
It's amazing.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
It's great.
So like I already mentioned, this movie was budgeted, $20 million. None of the studios thought that they could get it done for that amount of money, partially because of Spielberg's reputation for going way over. So he had gone over budget and over schedule on every movie that he made up until this point.
Oh my God, what a challenge.
And what he says about this was, he was like, I wanted to prove to myself that I could be like an economical, responsible filmmaker and make a movie like under budget and under schedule. And so what they decided to do was, him and Lucas, they were like, we're going to make this. We're not doing a bunch of takes. We're not taking a bunch of time to like set up. We're just going to do them. And if it has like a scrappy, sweaty quality, that's what we're mimicking with these film serials anyway. And so kind of like whatever comes out comes out. And I also really appreciated that. Like you have two guys who are near the height of their powers, in Hollywood, and they're like, we're going to make this thing like fast, quick, and cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I got the scrappy vibe from it. But
Mhm.
it's funny hearing that like this is the goal with this type of movie they're trying to make, and then the length that they made it.
Right.
It's
Well, right. One positive review that I read for this said, this movie's less than 2 hours. I was like, yeah, 5 minutes less than 2 hours. Come on, man. This
Yeah.
movie's 2 hours.
No,
This is a 2 hour movie.
This is a 2 hour
okay?
movie. This is a 2 hour movie. Yeah.
But it's impressive. You have all
Very.
these huge set pieces. I sent you a video earlier today where Spielberg is complaining that they don't have enough snakes in the snake pit because he can't do a wide shot that shows all of the other like platforms. You would see that there's no snakes. And so they're there. The room is built. The actors are there. Everyone is on set. And he's like, I need 7,000 more snakes. I think they already had like 2,000, and he's like, I need 7,000 more on top of this. And so it's just crazy thinking of like, he's trying to be economical. He's trying to do things, as quickly as possible. But then he's also just like, hey, we're in England. Find me 7,000 snakes.
More snakes.
And they did.
And it was like real snakes, rubber snakes, and some lizards, legless lizards with no legs, I read.
Isn't that a snake? Are there legless lizards that aren't snakes?
Well, I don't. Is a snake a lizard? Reptile.
Yeah. Aren't reptiles lizards?
Oh boy. No, it was slow worms. Excuse me.
Okay.
No.
Stop.
The snakes used in the temple are a combination of fake rubber or plastic snakes and live snakes, along with some live legless lizards, possibly slow worms. They look like
Stop.
snakes, but they are
None of that's
actually
real.
lizards. They also used live boa constrictors and pythons and a few cobras. Slow worms.
Slow worms?
As if a regular worm is fast.
Hey, Spielberg's demanding more snakes. We're out of snakes. What do you got?
Wow,
We got some
look.
slow worms.
Look at a slow worm. It looks like a snake.
Crazy. That is crazy.
Wow.
Okay, well, I
Right.
learned something new today.
There you go. A slow
In all of
worm.
my Indy research, I did not come across slow worms.
This is like the only research I did.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, are these snakes real?
Yeah, and the cobra was real. They put a
Yeah.
pane of glass between Harrison
Mhm.
Ford, but he really does drop into frame,
Wow.
and the cobra's reaction is real.
Yeah. We experienced that some of that on the Great Movie Ride, in case you were wondering.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Okay, continue.
So $20 million budget. Worldwide, this was released 3 years in a row. They just kept re-releasing it because it was such a big hit.
Wow.
So it ended up making like $389 million at the box office,
Mm-hmm.
which is absolutely insane. Like I said, highest grossing film of 1981. This movie was nominated for Best Picture that year.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I mentioned that to my wife, Jean Marie, and she said, oh, just like Barbie. Highest grossing film of the year and nominated for Best Picture.
Wow.
So that was, 1981's Barbie.
Just digesting that for a second.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this has a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes, 4.2 on Letterboxd, 86 on Metacritic. This was inducted into the National Film Registry in 1999. Ebert gave this 4 stars, and he made some really interesting points about how the Nazis are trying to steal and utilize like the most holy Jewish relic, which was pretty interesting.
Oh, wow.
He brought out a lot of stuff about like the commentary on Nazis in World War II.
Yeah.
So I would encourage everybody go read that article. It's good. And they shot this from June 23rd to sometime in September. So makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a segment of the show where we talk about what we would cut, what we would edit, and what we would keep. It's called What the Keck. All right. So do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Oh my God, I didn't write this down. I don't have anything. Like I would cut so.
I'll go first. I'll go
yeah,
first.
Okay, go first.
Okay, so for cutting stuff, I think I would cut some of the like submarine boat stuff. It's cool, and we're crossing a lot of T's and dotting a lot of I's in terms of like adventure movie stuff. But at that point, I'm like, let's get to the end. Let's just get to where we're going, kind of a thing. So I would probably cut the boat submarine stuff. I would edit down some of the exposition scenes towards the beginning, where we're like explaining what the Ark of the Covenant is and the staff and how the staff works. And I think you can roll some of that into just the natural dialogue between him and Marion, and then him and Sala. Like once we actually get there, you know what I mean? Like I don't need, because they really lay out like everything that's going to happen in the movie
Yeah.
prior to us needing to know anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like Indy can just be like, yeah, I know what that is. I know where to start, and then head over to Nepal.
Mm-hmm.
And then keep, I know this will sound kind of contradictory, but I'm keeping the whole opening sequence, and I would actually expand it a little bit more. I would like him doing some more like tomb raiding stuff. Like that was, I liked all that.
I think I'm gonna agree with you on that with the opening sequence, because as someone who didn't really know this movie, I wanted more of that.
Yeah.
I wanted more of that. I'm also keeping all the scenes with the plane of the red line traveling across the map, and we're seeing.
Yeah.
I love that for just the journey of the movie. It feels like an adventure, like going to the different
Yeah.
places, like visually seeing it. So I'm keeping all of that. As far as cutting and editing, honestly, I'm just probably going to edit down a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a good answer for this. I have to be honest with you. Definitely the submarine and the boat can, at this point, I'm very much, she's a little out of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, the beginning, I would have liked it actually to be longer
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I was waiting for. I mean, the boulder, this iconic boulder, it's over. It's over in a blink of an eye.
And they actually made that longer. Like once they got in and Spielberg saw it,
Yeah.
he had them make it 50 feet longer.
Wow.
So it would have been even shorter.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Let's add some more slow worms.
Hey, always could use more slow worms.
That's right.
So we asked some friends on Twitter what they thought. Brian Twists, not Twist, at Brian_Twists.
Wait, his name is Brian Twist, not Twist?
Well, no,
Or you're
the
saying
not twist. I added the not twist
Oh,
part.
okay. It's good you
Yeah.
said that because I was going to say Brian Twist and Shout.
Okay. Says, probably the one movie I've watched the most in my life. I almost went to school for archaeology because of it.
Wow. That's
Wow.
cool. That's really cool.
Felicia at Cinemaroni says, I'm anti Indiana Jones, but Harrison Ford is hot, so a win is a win.
Thank you, Felicia. Yes. Yum. I actually like paused the movie and I pointed to him on the plane on my screen and I mouthed to Liz and I was like, yum. In his professor garb.
Paul Muad'Dib at Trig Raptor,
Our good friend, Paul.
good friend. He saw Dune 2, I think 7 times in theaters.
He's a dune head.
Yeah.
Is that what they call themselves? A dune head, a dune cake, a dune buggy?
We were going with Dune Buggy, I think.
I like dune buggy. Okay.
Yeah. Says, probably speak for a lot of us when I say that as a kid, this was the most epic, funny, scary, and overall thrilling movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
As an adult, I find it's a great comfort film.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Stephanie Kennerly at Abandoned Thoughts.
Oh, sounds like my blurty
She says,
name.
What?
Sounds like a blurty name.
Oh, I thought you said a flirty name.
Well, I mean, you could spin it that way.
Stephanie, did you have a blurty growing up?
Or a Zenga.
I had a blurty, Diary X, Live Journal.
I had a live journal, an LJ.
I never did Zenga.
Neither did I.
Yeah. I didn't like the layout.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, Stephanie says, it's the hottest Harrison Ford ever was or will ever be.
Wow. So Han Solo, huh? Doesn't do it?
I listened to Harrison Ford talk about how much he tried to make this different from Han Solo.
Yeah.
Because Han Solo is cocky and suave.
Yeah.
And he was like, nope. He went through the script and rewrote. He was like, I took out all the parts that were like, no, this is like Han Solo. Nope, this is like Han Solo.
I get it.
And so like even like the hair is different and the way he is, it's all very different.
Yeah.
Patrick Vicious at Alleyway Crew, which by the way, Patrick he's always so faithful to respond to tweets. And I've never mentioned that he's also the host of the Chainsaws and Claws podcast.
Is that a horror movie and they talk about cats?
Oh my God. You know what? I'm just going to say it. Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Anyway, Patrick says, I'm pretty sure it's the movie that made me love movies.
See, you know what? This just didn't arrive at us.
The right time.
Yeah. The ride, though, and the stunt
The ride.
show. We all can have a little Indy in us, you know?
Right. Right.
That's right.
Indy comes to us in many different ways.
That's right.
And then finally, Daniel Schomber at D. Schomber says, Spielberg is so good, he makes directing this look easy. I find new details every viewing, and it never fails to put a dumb smile on my face.
Oh, I love that for you.
So those are people that we do know. Now we go to a segment of the show where we hear from people we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. All right, so these are reviews from letterboxd.com, which is a website where you can log, rate, and review films. And we start out with a half-star review and go all the way up to a 5-star review. All right, I'm going to read this half-star review as Kermit the Frog.
Can you do Bobby from King of the Hill? Keep that in your pocket. Bring it next week.
Bobby from King of the Hill?
Yeah. Work on it. Bring it next week.
What's something that Bobby says?
I don't know. Maybe you could do Hank. Bobby.
Oh, well, Bobby.
Hank Hill loves...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that doesn't seem right to me.
That's good.
That doesn't sit right with me.
You could
No, the first
practice it. Yeah.
Okay.
Hank Hill loves propane.
Well, all right, I'm going to try this one as Hank Hill from King of the Hill. I take no pride in being a hater of popular things, but this is pure hot dog water. Zero desire to watch any other Indiana Jones movie after this. Oof. That was a bad Hank Hill.
But also, that totally sounds like something Hank would say.
It does,
If Hank
right?
was
Hot
leaving
dog
a
water?
review, that's what
Right.
Hank would say.
Well, that's just hot dog water.
Oh my gosh. I think we'll have to do I'm just going to request King of the Hill characters.
Sure. 3-star review says, honestly, it was kind of mid. I knew it was going to happen, and I get that it was first of the time, but we see so many movies like it currently.
Mm.
Also, I think it might have been borderline racist. Classic 80s movie.
There you go.
And yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
5-star review says, truly, I don't know if any movie has ever looked better than this, or if any human being has ever looked cooler. Even the insignificant shots look like art, and even the brief one-scene costume looks are iconic. Crazy watching this man hanging onto a whip, being dragged through the mud behind a truck and thinking they really did that. Ah, movies. Favorite series ever, no doubt. And they did really do that. They really had Harrison Ford hold onto the whip and dragged him behind the truck.
Wow.
Not as fast as they do it in the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a funny behind the scenes clip where he's talking about it and someone's like, this looks dangerous. And he's like, yeah, if it was that dangerous, they would have filmed it later on in the movie though. I was like, oh, that's true. That's true. So Michelle has a rating system, which is a schmovie, a movie, and a film. We also rate the movie 1 through 5 stars and give our recommendations. And do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You can go first, and I'll present what I thought you're going to rate this movie.
Okay.
Since
let's
that's
see
our
it.
new thing now. Okay, so I wrote down that you are rating this 4 stars and that you are rating it as a movie.
Wow. Hey, that's a home run.
Really?
Yeah. Going into this, I was thinking like, I'm a little down on this movie, honestly, just because of how I feel like it drags for me,
Sure,
not for
sure.
anyone else on this planet who loves this movie. And then after looking into it and watching it 2 times in 2 days, I really enjoyed it the most on my last watch through. Like once I knew I don't like the boat scene, I'm checked
Yeah.
out for that part.
Right.
But like the monkey
The traitor?
and thinking about pulling in 7,000 more snakes, they were just bringing in garbage bags full of snakes. Like
Slow worms.
it's
Seth.
insane. It's insane.
Slow
And
worms.
slow worms. And now that I know about the slow worms, like that makes me like it like even more.
Okay.
And then also learning about all of the stuff with the film serials and hearing Lucas and Spielberg both talk about how that influenced like the making of the movie. I was like, okay, so a lot of the things that I kind of didn't like about it now make sense because they're not reinventing a wheel. They're actually pulling from something in the past. And when you think about it, it's pretty insane. You know, everyone's upset about remakes and sequels. And well, look at this. We got Star Wars and Indiana Jones because two nerdy guys were like, let's make Flash Gordon and Zorro.
Yeah, and when you think about this was 1981 and the last one in the franchise was when?
2022 or 23.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's an
they
iconic
created,
piece of film
they
history.
created, you know, iconic moments and characters and instantly recognizable stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I would say 4 stars, and it's definitely a movie. And I think if you haven't seen this, you need to check it out. But if you're like Michelle and you're not 10 years old, and if you haven't watched a movie from the 80s lately, be prepared for a lot of like Orientalism and people wearing brown face. And it's
Yeah.
but you should watch it. I think it's part of movie history, baby.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think for me?
So I went a touch low, but I put down that you rated this 2.5 stars, and I think that you would call it a movie.
Whoa, this is not a home run.
Oh no.
I'm rating this a movie, and I'm rating it a solid 3 stars.
Whew. See, I
So
was
you were
thinking
close.
3.
You were close.
I was thinking 3, but then I was like, you know what? Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, I was close
It
though.
was probably, I shouldn't have sent you some commentary beforehand. That probably screwed up.
Even without that, I'm telling you, rewatching this the first time,
You
I
were
was like,
like-
oh, I don't know, man. Michelle is either going to come into this recording swinging in on a vine,
So true. So true.
or she's going to be like, no, it's paced wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you should watch this if you haven't seen it. I agree with everything you said. I feel it's iconic. It is part of film history. The soundtrack is undeniable. It's like Adventure's theme song to me.
Yep.
However, because I watched this as a 37-year-old woman for the first time in 2024, it didn't hit the same way it hit for some of our friends. And I probably will never watch this again. And I have no interest in continuing on the series. But I think it deserves praise. And I do recognize all the thought that went into it. And it is pretty impressive knowing the behind the scenes stuff. I mean, 20 million, staying on budget, putting that for themselves, Lucas and Spielberg, I think is really impressive. And slow worms for the win.
That's right. I think that's what we can all take away from this.
That a slow worm exists.
Yes. Hey, now we can advertise our podcast as educational.
Yes. We could change our section in the podcast niche. Instead of film and TV, it could go educational.
Hey, if you want to help change our section on the podcast niche, you should give us a rating and a review. We saw some new ratings come in, which we were so excited and happy about. Wow. It's so great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It genuinely does help. It's unfortunate. Like, you can have tons and tons of downloads, but if the algorithm doesn't see that people are like interacting with your show where they're listening, they're like, meh, who cares?
Right. And if other people are, thumbing through shows and they see positive reviews, that means they're going to want to listen. So if you're enjoying it, I don't know what I have to do. I told Seth, I don't know. I brought in like the depressing fact that my cat died. My birthday came and went. That didn't make you want to leave a review. Seth's impersonations every week, not making you want to leave a review.
Honestly, I feel like if you're listening to the show for the first time and you get to me suddenly doing Hank Hill for no reason, you're turning this off and you're never coming back. Like, why would you stick around?
No, but in all seriousness, thank you for rating us and tapping. We appreciate it.
You can also send us an email. Let us know what you think about Raiders of the Lost Ark or Indiana Jones or anything, really. moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. $5 a month gets you access to all of our additional shows. It gets you access to our patron-only Discord, and you get to vote on new episodes. You get to vote on monthly themes. It's crazy. Come on, be a movie friend with us.
Be a movie friend. We need a jingle.
Oh, yeah.
Like old timey, welcome to the movies. Wanna be our friend.
Yeah. You can do it. I'll leave that one to you.
Oh, man. Okay.
So, next week, we're continuing on with Adventure April. And this one is my pick. Very excited about it. We're going to talk about The Princess Bride.
Woo!
From 1987. This is 99 minutes, currently streaming on Disney Plus, and it's directed by Rob Reiner, which means that Rob Reiner becomes the first director that we have talked about 3 times on this show. So congratulations, Mr. Reiner. You're welcome. Honestly, this is probably the last time we'll see him.
Oh, okay. Well,
unless you want to talk about Misery one day.
I don't know what that is, so.
Oh, or Stand By Me.
Never seen that either.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Those are 2 good ones.
Never say never.
Maybe.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, it's an incredible movie. I mean, you've seen it, right?
I have seen it. I mean, would I have exclaimed woohoo if I didn't?
I don't know. I mean, maybe
for
the
true.
show. I don't know.
Yeah, I might have. You're right. Yeah, I love this one.
Yeah, like there's no like build up to this movie. If you haven't seen it, just watch it. You're crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited. Very, very excited. Not just to talk about it, but to like spend time really going into it. Because there's facts about all these movies. You know, there's stuff with Indiana Jones we didn't talk about because everybody says the same stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But one of the things as a movie lover that I so appreciate about this show is that it affords me like the time and focus to like really look into movies that I really like. So I'm excited.
Sweet. And I love listening. So
hey, if you love listening. No, just kidding. We already did that. Anyway, thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Seth.
Thank you very much for listening. Till next time, when we're talking about The Princess Bride, have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Music by Anthony Vicora. If you like the show, please subscribe and give us a rating. It really helps us find new friends. Thanks.